This
Good,
is
man.
the one and only unknown 2019 Battle of the Beatmakers champ, the last champ that
Good,
actually
everybody.
was on live on stage before COVID threw the world in a tailspin. And he's joined with two lovely guests. I got Lauren Rain and
George Frank.
George. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
AKA Laura Rain and the Caesars, who are featured on the samples we're covering today, actually.
Right. It threw me off for a hot second because we have a producer named Hail Caesar, and when I seen it pop up, I was like, "Huh, how did Mr. Caesar get involved?" But it's all good. It's all good. We're gonna have a dope show. I love spontaneity. Spontaneous energy is always a plus for me. So anytime we get that, it just adds to the sauce. So it should be dope.
Yes, sir.
So let's jump right into it. We got a beat tape out, a sample library project. How would you describe it? Beat tape or sample library? What would be the more appropriate title?
I would say sample library, man, because
Okay.
I mean, this one was a little different because I personally approached it. I approached Laura Rain and the Caesars,
Right.
phenomenal band or duo, husband and wife, whatever you want to call it. And my approach to this was much different because I think Garnett, which we're covering today, I wanted to feel like you're going through, you went like, like the old producers, you go to a record store, a vinyl store, you find something cool that you hear, and you're sipping through each one, right? And so you're just digging for dope samples to chop up or loop, you know. So I would say sample library.
Okay. Very dope.
Yeah.
Very dope.
It's very sample, or I would say more like album in a way. I don't know.
Right. I
Whatever
see
you want
that the feel of it looks like an album because you can feel like the plastic still on the album, so that
Mm.
the whole feel
Sample
of it.
library or album. Oh
Right.
yeah, so I would say the stuff before this would be more sample library like, just
Right.
kind of like the typical drum broker stuff.
Right.
And the stuff now, I think the Garnet especially is more like album.
Okay.
It's like you have the dope vocalist Laura Rain, which I think they dropped out. I don't know what happened.
Oh really? Okay.
I think
Let me see.
I don't know how Detroit internet is.
Okay.
But,
I didn't even catch they did disappear on us. Let me see if I can bring them back in. Real
I can
quick.
text them real quick.
Yeah, they have the link. Just get them to hit the link again.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, once they jump on, they'll just jump them right back in.
Mm.
So this is how many different projects have you dropped along these lines? Albums, we'll say.
So a little bit after the Battle of the Beatmakers, I made this thing called Unknown Music Library, which was released on YouTube.
Okay.
Through a thing called Gates. So it's just like YouTube marketing where you had a bunch of tags left and right.
Right.
Q Beats, Kingsway, whatever, all the big dogs in the sample world, just so it's marketed and it shows up on other people's feeds,
Right.
And people would download it. They would somehow run into it, and
Right.
it looks like they're back.
Yeah, we got them.
Yeah, so they would download it in exchange for a follow on Instagram, or they would have to subscribe to your YouTube page and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I grew my presence in the sample world, is through these dates and promotion. I think I released 7 of those, and each one contained about like 10 to 15.
So Garnet is number 7?
No, so that's before Unknown. So that's Unknown Music Library before the Drum Broker. So that transitioned into Unknown Sounds.
Okay.
So what you have, the stuff you've been seeing on my Instagram feed and whatnot,
right,
and probably others too. That transitioned into Unknown Sounds when we eventually got on the Drum Broker, because I wanted to brand myself not so free in a way, because the loops I uploaded were kind of like a test run, like, okay, how are my loops compared to other people? Are people fucking with it? Are people actually like using it?
Right.
It was just kind of like a trial run, and each pack I would release, I'd gain up to like 1,000 subscribers, you know, in less than a month. So I was like, okay, well, looks like I'm doing something right.
I would say.
I approached Drum Broker, and through the people I knew on the label, the Drum Broker and stuff, the platform, they like put out a good word for me, you know. I sent them my packs. He's like, dude, I like your stuff. Let's work, you know. And that's eventually how I got my own label, Unknown
Okay.
Sounds, which was around August of 2020.
Okay.
And
So
yeah, with
something
Garnet, that would be an 11.
something good came out of COVID after all.
Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
we're locked up, and
Right.
I'd be at the bars and just partying up because I'm still young, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Because of COVID, it kind of just like everything's closed out here in Seattle. So it's like I just kind of locked in and just worked on my samples and just progressed forward, you know?
Okay. Which
And,
project under your own label? What number would Garnet be?
so Garnet would be 11.
11. Wow.
So I had 10 before this.
Right.
And I told myself the first 10 would be kind of like the trial run for Drum Broker to
Right.
see if I'm doing well sales wise against other, I would say friends. I wouldn't really say competitors, you know?
Right.
And the first 10 volumes did really well. Every month there's like a little chart, the best selling.
Right.
I'd be like top 8. So I'm like sometimes even top 4. So I'm like, okay, well,
Okay.
my samples are doing good compared to the other guys too, you know,
Right.
that have been doing it for years. Respect to them, no competition.
Right.
But I just wanted to compare apples to apples, and it was doing good, and we're here now.
Okay.
And I told myself after the first little trial period of the first 10 volumes, I'm going to expand out, collaborate with others. That's where amazing Laura Rain,
Okay.
and the Caesars come in. Very talented duo, and yeah, I think Garnet is probably already. We're not even a week in, and it's
Right.
already one of the best-selling packs
That's
in
crazy.
the Unknown Sounds.
That's crazy.
So it's a great honor to have to work with them, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned with this direction, you wanted to, after 10, so now 11, you want to incorporate more collaborations and things like that. How did you
Collaborative
specifically...
packs.
Right.
I'll have more like independent packs, like the first 10.
Right.
But just expanding my spider web, just, you know, just because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that have talent that want to dip their feet into like the hip hop world, you know, even from my EDM side,
Right.
contribute a little bit of this and that. And, you know, if you combine forces, it's like you just come out with stuff like Garnet,
Okay.
you know, at the end of the day.
Now, there are millions of producers, artists, singers in the world. How did you particularly connect with Laura Rain and Mr. Caesar? How did that come about?
Honestly, it was the power of social media. I remember one day just checking I think it was like 7 a.m, just checking my followers that I gained or whatever, just going through social media, Instagram, you know.
Right.
And then one of them was Miss Laura Rain, and I checked it out, and she just had this one clip called "Closer to the Wind," which is now the Detroit sample in the Garnet pack.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, like she's exact. And at the time, I was looking for vocalists. So I'm just like, wow, this is like the stars align. Like I'm gonna hit this
right out the park.
This talented person up, this singer up, and you know, see what happens. And we just networked. We worked out something. I had to explain how the sample stuff and the melody stuff and the loop world works in the hip hop world. And I hit her up, and she was down with it, along with George. And we're here now, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into the first track. The first track is called Aha or Ah Ah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first track off of the Garnet Beat, I should say, sample library album. So Aha, let's check it out.
Okay.
It's definitely a vibe. Definitely a vibe.
It sure is, man.
Give
For
me
sure.
walk me through the creative process for you. Like, how does a day work for you? Like, what does it take to get the mojo running? Do you have to have a drink, a coffee, a cigarette,
No.
what?
Sometimes cigarettes, drinks, not so often.
Okay.
Usually when I start off any sample, it is just with chords. Um, I play the violin, the cello, the piano,
Okay.
but I think the best way to approach it is chords because that is the foundation of any song out there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's literally the concrete base, and you start building up from there. You build your building, whether it's some weird style or just your typical building, you know.
Right.
But I just start off with the chords and I kind of just add from there, you know.
Okay.
In this case, obviously, there's multiple avenues that you can take the chords, right? You can take it the Motown route because it's just a simple piano that I throw down.
Right.
And all you have to do is switch out the pads or the piano to like pads or synthesizers or plucks and whatnot. They can take it a whole different direction, you know.
Right.
So oftentimes I'll start out with a piano chord, choose a preset of some sort, switch it up, and then if it sounds more Motown, then I'll take it the Motown route. If it
Right.
sounds more soul, take it that route. If it sounds more R&B, it's like synth bass,
Right.
I'll take it that route. If it sounds EDM-y, then I'll try to combine it with some EDM stuff into like sampleable hip hop stuff, you know.
Okay.
With this specific sample, I did not start it off. This was actually an idea that George, aka the Caesars,
Right.
sent to me. And actually, before we start, it's like the Garnet, it was like a collaborative effort. It was 50-50. It's like George sent me samples along with Laura. I sent them samples, and we kind of just traded ideas and just fired stuff left and right. This specific sample, George sent me the idea. I think it was a guitar riff that you hear in the bass track.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I just kind of just did my magic and just rode the wave, you know?
Okay. Were you classically trained or formally trained in any instrumentation, or this is all just you picking up whatever instrument and learning as you went?
Well, most of my samples, unless it's violin, cello, the piano, ukulele, or something else, it's really just VST based, you know?
Okay.
I would say like the 70s, obviously we didn't have like Fruity Loops and all these different DAWs. So it's very difficult
Right.
to play a clarinet. Let's say we added a clarinet to this track. It's very difficult to add a clarinet to a sample if you don't know how to play it. Because back then you literally had to play it or
Right.
bring in someone, you know?
Right.
But in these days, it's like all you need to know is just have a foundation, like one instrument that sounds good, let's say, good sounding chords or good bass, and you just add on top of that, man. You know, it's
Okay.
like, and you can switch out any instrument you want.
Right.
You know,
Would it be would it be odd now to use another sample pack now that you create your own sample packs?
Dude, honestly, I try not. I mean, if I can make my own samples, I think collaboratively, if someone sends me sample packs to chop up and sample and make beats, then yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
Which still does happen, but I think most of the time, yeah, most I would say 9 times out of 10 these days, bro, it's like my own samples. You know?
Right. Right. Which is dope. This is dope. Go ahead, Mr. George. You want to add something into that?
Yeah. So your process behind I guess, because it was you sent me the idea, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, when I heard Unknown's music, I mean, when I hear his chords and things, I mean, that right away inspires me to write a certain way.
Okay.
I mean, we're inserting our musicianship into it,
Right.
and this is, coming from, I'm a live performer and make music at home.
Right.
And what's interesting about this is I'm used to playing, uh, entire songs,
Right.
longer form. So it's interesting to try to just fit something into a minute.
Right.
Just have a couple chord changes and something direct, that'll groove,
Right.
you know, and to see what he's going to do with it. I mean, the way that particular one we just listened to, you know, it all I really did was I did the bass and the guitar and
Okay.
implying this stuff, but all the beautiful, the bells and the piano is
Mhm.
over the top what he did, and that's what really gives it a vibe, you
Right.
know.
Right. This is your first experience working with a hip hop producer, quote unquote.
Well, it in a long time, yeah. It,
Okay.
I,
Right.
it's really interesting because just with every other style of music too, things change, tastes change, and the sounds that people are using are changing,
Right.
so I think it's interesting that that he reached out to us, and we were able to provide, our ideas to him,
Right.
because it's different for us, for sure.
Okay.
But the music is related. We play soul and R&B and funk, and
Right.
things like this, and we're used to, we know how to play our instruments, and
Right.
we play with live players. That's
Right.
what we do.
We
You
do
know.
all of our writing here and demoing, so we were able to execute these sample tracks for Unknown. So it just worked out perfectly. I don't think when he contacted me, I mean, I'm the voice, but George does everything. So he got two of us.
Right.
We're fortunate to be able to record here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it was exciting to collaborate. I haven't really collaborated with anyone in a long time, and we have just been writing and releasing our own albums for the past several years.
Okay.
And we do have quite a bit of material that doesn't fit what we do. So it was nice to have this kind of creative license to just branch out and do something different, but use all of our musicianship. So it was really fun.
Right. Right. Okay. Dope. 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 All right. We're gonna get into the second track, which is called Barber. Anything we should know about this track? Why it was named Barber, and what was the thought process behind
Well,
this track?
honestly, whatever I name my samples, it's just the first word that comes to mind.
Okay.
I think the same week I had gotten a haircut, so I just called it Barber.
Okay. All
Like
right.
there's no, like I will tell you 9 times out of 10, the sample name has nothing to do with the actual inspiration. of the
Okay.
track.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'm just throwing that out there, man.
Okay. It's all good. I can
But I
see.
mean,
I can
you-
see the
you
rest
can
of the
picture-
title, so I can get an idea of what was going
Yeah,
on.
I mean, you can picture yourself in a barber when you listen to this. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get into it. All the viewers, it's up to you. However you wanna, wherever you wanna go
Oh,
with
what
it
you
when you
want.
hear it. Yeah. So, for now, we're calling it Barber. Let's do it. I forgot to turn the volume back on for a second. That just took me to another space. Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The funny thing with these tracks, you never want to just hear the minute. You want it to just go on. Like I want to hear like 3 minutes of it.
Yeah,
and I
man.
guess that's the purpose, just to give them a tease. But it's a sample. You're just giving them a tease of it, but you definitely are drawn
Yeah.
in.
I mean, because a lot of these sample packs that producers are putting out, let's say it's like a Jay Dilla sample or whatever from an older Motown record. He's only looping like one section, right? So I feel like as a sample creator myself, my goal is to provide, because if you look at a 3 minute to 4 minute track, there's only a few seconds where there isn't a vocal interfering with the drums and the actual rapper that's going to jump on top of the beat, right? After it's chopped up. So my goal is to just provide that like 10 seconds that's extended up to a minute to 90 seconds, you know, a minute and a half, just so samplers can nitpick little bits and pieces from the sample. So oftentimes I feel like you don't have to have like a 3 minute track because it would just literally be the same loop.
Right.
You know?
Right. Get you. Now you mentioned Jay Dilla. I'm assuming that's one of your, you know, big influences production wise. Who else would be in your top 5?
Producer, Timbaland.
We're gonna go through. We're going through the usual.
There's so
suspects.
many, but I wouldn't really necessarily rank any of them. You know, Wonder Girl's dope. She was a part of Battle of the Beatmakers, right? I forget which year. Boy Wonder, T Minus, who was a judge for the competition in 2019. Just so many, man. It's like I feel like each producer out there that are doing their thing, they just have something small to offer, and I kind of just take what they have to offer and kind of just remix it into my own style, you know?
Okay. Do you have tracks that are just kind of on the wayside that you didn't really like when you made it, but you're just keeping it there and figure one day you'll jump back onto it and add some elements to it? Or if it's whack, it's just, that's it. You just trash it, delete it.
You talking about like
a beat? You create a beat and you just it's a lot of producers. I mean, they can delete a beat or they just kind of have it on their hard drive for later as their.
Yeah, it's just sitting on there.
Right. But it's something you know that one day you will recreate and will add to it or something like that. Do you have that kind of bunch of beats on the side?
I mean, just based off of just YouTube interviews and just big producers just talking about beats that have been sitting that all of a sudden just come out and they're the next single for Kanye West, for example, or something like that, you know?
Right.
Oftentimes the beats are sitting on my hard drive just collecting dust, you know, but it really just takes the right moment to be in the studio with an artist, you know? To bring that beat to life. But to answer your question, it's like the Battle of the Beatmakers 2019. I made over, I think, 90 beats.
Wow.
Or 45-second snippets.
Wow.
Just for the competition. You know what I'm saying? And I narrowed that 90 down to 30, right? Because it's like, let's say, I think the round of 64 was best of 3. Let's say it's tied 1-1 and then there's a tiebreaker. That's 3 beats. And I calculated the worst case scenario for me to move forward. I think it came out to like 34 beats.
Wow.
And I know the 90 beats down to 30 beats and just, and I said at any point, any round, whatever, like let's say it's the finals, I can just close my eyes and just choose any beat.
Wow.
And it'll do well, you know?
That's crazy. That's crazy. The reason I say it's crazy because you mentioned Wonder Girl earlier. She ran out of beats when she won. Like the battle she was in, she was on her very last beat. She only brought like 10 beats to the battle. So as compared to you bringing 90 beats or having 90 beats, she had 10 beats exactly and was on her. She after that she would have just ran out of beats and lost. But she happened to win right on her very last beat.
Yo, she's dope though. All of her beats were freaking dope, man.
Right.
But I would say, I mean, if you're going to battle, man, you want to come with the ammo and the artillery. You know, it's like It's like I think because I've been following you guys forever, and like 9 times out of 10, it's like people play their best beats first, and they make it on. They're like, oh shit, I'm in like round of 8 now. I gotta bring my best. Oh wait, I forgot. I played in around the 64. And they're just sitting on like the mediocre beats, you know?
It's a strategy. It's a strategy.
Yeah, it's a strategy. But I said, screw that. It's like I'm just gonna do 30 beats, like all top notch, you know, as best as I can.
Okay.
And I think it worked, you know.
I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the next track. It's called Chipotle. And 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had no idea what that word was until I went to Cali and learned what Chipotle is all about.
You guys don't have Chipotle in Canada?
I think we have it now, but it's not something I grew up familiar with. I didn't even know how to pronounce it or anything. I just seen it as one of those words that's out there. until I went to
Yeah.
Cali, and then I kind of got my head around what this thing called Chipotle is. So I'll let people think what they want when they hear the beat. Has nothing to do with anything. Unknown was just eating some Chipotle at the time, and that's
I
the name
love
of the track.
Chipotle. That's
All right.
why I call it Chipotle.
Right, right,
And the inspiration has nothing to do with Chipotle.
right.
We're
right.
going from like a 70 to 90s theme here, and
Okay.
I don't think Chipotle was around back then.
Right.
Yeah,
All right, let's get into it. Chipotle, track 3 off the
Chipotle.
Garnet sample library / album. Let's get it. Somebody in the chat put Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah, I see that, man. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I guess it can fit in there somewhere. I never really went there. I went somewhere totally different with it. But I guess it could be factored into the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Are you guys to the Caesar? Are you following kind of the resurgence of Bob James at this point in time and all the stuff going on with his samples and how they've been used throughout the years, and kind of nobody kind of seemed to know who he was. They heard him. They heard it since the 80s and around, but now he's kind of becoming this big deal.
Yeah, I think it's probably because of all those sweet harmonies he used way back, and I did notice that he's I saw something online where he's getting more popular. He's been sampled quite a bit.
Oh gosh, yes. Sometimes he didn't even know he was sampled. It's been in so many songs that he didn't even know.
Right, those days are over.
Right. He's just I mean, it's Eric B. and Rakim, it's Run DMC, it's Ninth Wonder. I mean, everybody has a piece of Bob James. I guess it was the thing to do. It's just like James Brown. Everybody's on it, so I'll jump on the bandwagon and get a piece of it too.
Yeah, that could be true for sure.
Right. So this track, Chipotle, what was the inspiration behind that? I know the name has nothing to do with the sauce, but
Definitely not Chipotle.
Right.
Definitely not Chipotle. There really was no inspiration. When it comes to my background in Mo, Showtime, if you ask me to name 10 artists from that era, I cannot name any. Because I vicariously listen to soul samples for like hip hop, for like Rick Ross records, and just Battle of the Beatmakers videos and whatnot. Just different samplers sampling like the actual tracks, and I would just hear it through hip hop beats, right? So as I mentioned earlier, any inspiration really starts with the piano chords. So I started with the piano chords. I literally went in my garage. I have a 120-year-old piano, upright, vintage upright. Record that, chop it up so it's on the grid and whatnot. And in this particular case, I sent that over to Hell Caesar, or Caesar. And I said, what do you guys think of this, And I think at this point he added some guitar riffs, and Laura just did her thing, She just added her oohs and ahs and harmonies, and it just came together into this Chipotle sample, which has nothing to do with Chipotle. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your preferred style producing? Do you like to be isolated when you produce, or you don't mind having team around you? What's your preferred style?
I mean, during these times, man, during COVID, I
Right.
can't really have buddies. I mean, I would have a few buddies over just chilling.
Right.
We just hang out. I just work on a few samples here and there. But around this time, man, just by myself, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You prefer that way, or you want to have the ambiance of multiple people around?
It depends by the day. Some days I feel like I just want to be my best self, just log myself in, do my thing. Some days I feel like, okay, bring my buddies over, whatever, my mom and dad, I don't know, man.
Okay.
They come in, give their 2 cents, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Any of that
Yeah.
add to the production by having those extra elements around you? Does that add to the creativity, or it doesn't matter who's around you?
Most of the times, if it's friends, no, because they have no background in music.
Okay.
They just sit there and just, that's dope, man. That's dope. That's it.
Right.
Just,
Right.
you know,
Right.
just give a little
Everything's a
comment
winner.
here and there.
Everything's a winner to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll make some like Tonka Toy sample, and they'll be like, "That's dope, man." I'm like, "Dude,
Right.
it's not a real sample, man. I'm just messing with you." You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Let's get to track number 4. This is called Detroit. I won't ask what inspired it. I'll just think of the best. I'll just think of Motown, actually. I'm just going to expect Motown.
George's Beanie explains it all, man.
Okay.
Shout
Shout out to the D. All right. This is track 4 off of Garnet, the beat tape / sample album / album, sample library album. Track 4, Detroit. Let's get it. Crazy. That is crazy. Very, very creative. Is there? Do you ever? Because you say you make things like 90 beats for a battle. What is your timeline for making beats? Is this stuff you can pop out in a day, an hour? Like, what does it take to put a sample or a track
This
together?
sample, I did not do much. This specific sample, Detroit, which actually has a meaning behind the sample name, unlike the last one called Chipotle.
Right.
This was actually all Laura Rain and the Caesars. And this specific track was actually the video that Laura Rain had on her Instagram. And I checked it out. I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is exactly what this is the vibes that we need, you know.
Right.
And this is why I reached out to them. I think the only thing I added was like 2 layers of strings.
Okay.
Towards the intro, and they sent me the stems. And I chopped it up what I thought would fit best for producers, hip hop producers, to chop up and whatnot.
Okay.
Man, there were so many cool bits in there, man. But I feel like some of the stuff would be hard in hip hop, you know, to sample. But the stuff you hear, that's the chunk of the song, and I feel like it wouldn't be right for me to explain because I only did like 10% of the work on this one, except for mix it down. But I think Laura Rain, I mean, she's on the lyrics, man. Phenomenal vocalist out of Detroit.
Yes.
Example, you know, and George behind the composition, man, fucking phenomenal, man.
Right.
It's amazing. It turned out to be like I played this specific sample to some of my buddies, and he's like, dude, that's some baby making music, man.
Right. No, that's
that
that sound that you have the sound captured. You definitely captured the essence with that sound. Detroit, all the way there with that Motown kind of. What's her name? R.I.P. to Mary Wilson that just passed away. But definitely that essence was captured in the overall production. Digital or analog, the Caesars, how do you feel about the change in sounds, and how does that factor into your creations?
Well, we have released a couple albums analog
Right.
on that were recorded on tape, old school style. We tried to do a lot of things showcasing different Detroit musicians and kind of retro styles of recording. However, our first, second, and latest, all of our singles that we've been releasing since August, we are not doing analog. It's all, we do demos here, and then we have the guys go over to a studio close to the house here,
Okay.
or we just do it here. But we do it all kinds of different ways. I think the best thing right now with all the COVID stuff is get what you can get done at home, and then you piece it together elsewhere. So just like what Unknown's doing, he's trading tracks with us, and we're putting vocals on it, or George is putting guitar on it. We're just trading ideas back and forth, and I think that's how most people are working right now.
Right.
I think
Right.
it's
Online. Yeah.
it's interesting too, because like with Unknown's piano, right? He's got this the sound of that piano. You can't imitate it. It's
Right.
like a
Right.
and that the track we just listened to, we recorded in like 3 different places.
Oh wow.
There's
Okay.
Bill Hammond A100 organ on there. Jeff, our bass player, playing the bass, and he's a Detroit gospel whiz,
Okay.
incredible player. And
Drums.
there's Mellotron on there. There's we did the drums a certain way, which
Okay.
you don't in that sample. But the point is that whether it's analog or digital, really, it's just like someone's voice or a rapper. You put a microphone in front of them
Right.
or an instrument. That's it doesn't really matter what you're recording it to.
Right. Got you.
Because what you're pointing it at is what matters.
Right. Got you. Okay. Let's keep it moving. We got Gems up next. And speaking of gems, all the albums are named after a gem. Am I correct with that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the theme. So there's a few sample creators out there like Coop the Truth. Like all of his album work is like, I believe, purple.
Okay.
Nami, who's very dope. His album work is like aqua, greenish, like greenish.
Right.
So everyone that's already been on the Drum Broker had like a theme going on.
Right.
So I said, well, no one's claimed gems.
Right.
Gems are known to be hard to find. And once you find them, it's amazing. You just have like history, something that took so long to create
Right.
within your hands.
Right.
Unless, if it's small at least, right? And I wanted to give that theme, the gem theme, to the Unknown Sounds brand, because I wanted to feel like when people ran into my stuff, they ran into gems.
Right.
That's on a hike or just walking through the streets or whatever.
Right.
In the virtual online world, it's like, wow, this is gems.
Right.
So that's why
Excellent theme.
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Salute
Yeah.
that. All right, let's jump into it. Track number 5 off of the Garnet sample album library. This is Gems. Now, would it be too much to ask for a 10-second snippet of Miss Lorraine doing this live? Because I'm hearing this voice,
hold on.
and I'm looking and I'm saying, "Is this? I'm not sure she's what I'm hearing. Can I hear this live?"
So two things.
Right.
Her voice does not really sound like that. I pitched it down.
Okay.
It sounds amazing, obviously.
Right.
But obviously you just heard her talk. It's not husky like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, hey, my name's Lorraine. It's not that low, you know?
That voice is amazing.
So one thing I wanted to point out is these samples, I do pitch it up and down.
Okay.
So this specific sample, Gems, I recorded on my iPhone, right? So you can hear like different textures, like the chair creaking from my fat ass. And I just trying to play the chords, right, you know? And I sent that over to Laura and George, and then they just did their thing, man. Okay. And I felt like the vocal range was perfect, you know? But the piano, it's like everything needs to just correlate and come together. That's what makes a good sample.
Right.
Let's say the violins sound too like mousy or whatever, like Mickey Mousey or whatever, just way too high up that it wouldn't sound good, right?
Okay.
So oftentimes I pitch it up 3 to 4 semitones, and it was way too mousy, Mickey Mousey. And literally Laura's voice was like, just sound like a mouse. Okay. So I pitched it down 8, which is from her original voice. It's 4 semitones down.
Okay.
And that's what you have now. It's like the deep husky voice. Okay. And it literally, I was like, whoa, like the characteristic this is giving for her voice, it sounds like husky. It's more beefy in a way. So I was like, okay, well, let's run with it. Okay. I sent it over to them. They said it was cool. So I ran with it. And yeah, that's how Gems turned out.
Okay.
So, that was not her original voice.
Okay.
No.
It's making me have hope for my voice. If you could do that with my voice, then we're on to something here.
My man, let's collab. Let's collab. Go.
Right. Well, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. However it was altered or arranged, it sounded beautiful to me. So
one thing. No offense to all the other vocalists that I work with. Oftentimes I do add like very slight autotune to Laura's voice, not a single autotune added. Okay. So that's how amazing she is. That gives you the scope of vocals. She can do it. You know, there you go. Yeah, there you go. No autotune necessary. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
No disrespect to all the other vocalists that I work with, but yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
just pitching stuff down. That's about it. No autotune.
Okay, excellent. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to track number 6. This is called Hopeful, which is what we all really need right now during this pandemic period of time. Hopeful, track 6 off of the Garnet sample album library. Let's check it out. I think that one defied what you said earlier. Like, that had to have a thought behind it because that made you feel hopeful. That couldn't have just been like Chipotle or Detroit or picking a random name.
Yeah.
That actually had a feeling behind it. So the other ones you might get away with that, but not for that one. That had to have something behind it that made you
definitely.
It was like an anthem.
Yeah.
It was like an anthem.
You know, it's I think oftentimes in music you tie horns to like victory,
Right.
right? We're talking way back during like Julius Caesar days. You
Right.
know, when he
Right.
came out, it's like you didn't hear pianos just playing soul chords. You know, it's
Right.
like you heard horns, like epicness. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so I tied the horns. So I have a few guys out of Nashville who track those horns. Those are actually live horns.
Okay.
But as I said before, we start off with the piano chords and whatnot. Sent him that. They kind of just did their thing over it,
Right.
the crescendos and whatnot. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. And I got the horns back, and I kind of just added bells, added different sections, mellow sections,
Okay.
more epic sessions like the intro. I mean, just stitch it together. That's it, man.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna jump into track number 7, Korea. Now, the name
Korea.
Korea. Again, this couldn't have just been popped out of nowhere. You have a connection to Korea, correct?
Well, I mean, I'm Korean. I'm
Okay.
South Korean. You know? I don't know if
Okay.
you guys. Yeah, I'm Korean.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with Korea.
Okay.
Because Korean Korean music sounds nothing like this, man. It's like, so this would be one of those samples that really have no inspiration behind the name,
Okay.
whatever that category is. But the last two, like Detroit, Hopeful, obviously there's a meaning behind it. And when I was making the Hopeful sample, I felt like if it felt like you were accomplishing something, you know.
Right.
In the times we're in, like COVID, a lot of people are struggling, man. And like even myself, you know, it's like when I was making that, I felt hopeful. So I was like,
Right.
this specific sample, I'm gonna name it Hopeful.
Okay.
And I hope people who are listening to that feel the same way. You know? So
Definitely anthem music.
give them inspiration to make a beat out of it. You know?
Right. Does back home, I'll say Korea back home, have any impact in your production whatsoever? The sounds of it, the culture of it. Is there
They do not, no, except for my earring. They're like K-pop
Okay.
influence, but no, man.
All right.
No.
How does the family take to you being a producer? Because many parents don't really. I mean, it's not a common thing for a parent to just push their kid to be into music, especially hip hop.
Yeah.
Be a doctor, be an accountant, be a lawyer, the typical things, but not many say go be a hip hop producer.
You said it. You know, in Korean culture, there's like a set system in a way. You hear the stereotype of Asians becoming doctors, lawyers, and all that kind of goofy stuff, because oftentimes in Korea you don't have like middle class jobs like Amazon and Google. Like I'm looking out the window and you see right there, it's like there's jobs out there, you know. In Korea, it's like either the middle class is very small.
Okay.
You know, I think that's what made Canada, America, and just other countries great. It's like if the middle class is big, your country is better off, you know. In a country like Korea, it's like you're either working at McDonald's or you go to a good college, get good grades, become a lawyer, doctor, so you live good. That's what success is in Korea, unless you're an entrepreneur and you do well. So to answer your question, my parents didn't take it well because I graduated high school in 2010. I got a full scholarship to the University of Arizona as a pharmacist, but that is not something I wanted to do, man. I mean, I could have ran with it. I would have been I would have been a pharmacist. I would not be here talking to you right now. I'd probably be behind the desk, just slanging pills the legal way. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't see myself, because my pops always told me, whatever you want to do, man, if you can't see yourself doing it in 10, 20 years, then just stop doing it and drop the ball, you know, because you're genuinely not going to be happy. And I had a big passion for music. I started producing hip hop back then. The beats were nowhere near where I am today. I just went with it and I said, screw it, I'm just going to drop out. It was very hard for the first few years. I know a lot of people out there that are going to probably watch this are probably going to be in the same position as me. It's hard, man. You drop out, your parents are going to be disappointed. I mean, some parents will support you, but it's going to be hard to rake in money and stuff like that. But if you stick with it and you just keep doing it, eventually you're going to find a medium, man, and you're going to pull out. And you can make it a full-time thing And you know what? I will say this now. I don't care if I got a full scholarship to a prestigious pharmacy university. It's like, I'm glad for the decision I made today because I'm genuinely happy. Because
Okay.
I would be behind some desk as a pharmacist and it's miserable, you know?
Okay.
It's not something I truly wanted to do. So
Right, right. Do you ever reach out to artists from Korea and try to collaborate with artists in Korea? How does that work?
it's really hard because I don't have anyone in music in Korea. I have a lot of family out there, but they're not in the music realm.
Right.
I've tried before, it hasn't worked. But I'm working out a deal right now. I have a pub deal on the table. I can't say much about it.
Okay. Oh, I
Um,
know how those
and
go.
they work a lot overseas K-pop. I think they had over 60 K-pop, J-pop, Japan pop,
Okay.
just last year alone.
Right.
So I think in the near future, I will be. I definitely will be working with them, man.
Okay. Dope. Let's jump into it. We spoke about Korea for a while. Now let's jump into what Korea actually sounds like. 60 seconds thereabout. Korea, track number 7 off the Garnet Soul sample album library. Let's get it. A little mellower than the other ones, but still dope. Because I mean, a sample can be anything. It could be someone coughing, and you just take that and loop it, or whatever it might be. So, do you ever feel that you need to like a sample needs more elements to it, or if it's just bare minimum, it's fine as well? Like, when do you feel like it's enough?
Sometimes I feel like if you put too much, there isn't enough for the 4/5 vocal range, 4/5K vocal range frequency wise.
Okay.
If you have like 20 things going on, it's like it's hard for even the artist to hear themselves within the track, you know?
Right.
So I would say just like anything simpler, the better, right? As long as whatever you present in the sample is strong, the chord progressions or whatever elements or different instruments you have is strong,
Right.
and I feel like that's presentable to a producer,
Okay.
hip-hop producer, in this case. Because I feel like my job as a sample creator is not to ultimately get placements. I mean, that is a goal, but I feel like the main goal is for me to make dope samples to inspire hip-hop producers.
Right.
And it's their job at that point, my job is done. Once
Okay.
they chop it up, do their magic, my job is done. Our job is done, you know?
All right.
They run with the beat, they have their connections and whatnot. They send it off, that's up to them. If we get a placement, that's it. You know? But I will tell you, if you make the sample dope, the chances of your placements are much higher. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said, Garnet is one of my highest selling packs, thanks to Laura and George, you know. And I sent this pack out even a few weeks before it came out, you know. And I won't name any names, but there's Grammy winning and nominated producers already chopping it up. They sent me the beats. It sounds phenomenal.
Right. Right. I can only imagine.
George, Laura, we all got our fingers crossed.
Right.
Myself.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Right. I'm sure it will happen. I'm sure it will happen.
God willing, man.
Right.
God willing, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All it takes is one home run, changes your life.
It really, that's correct, man.
So
yes, sir.
All right. With that being said, let's get to Rise, which suits the occasion. We're talking about the Rise. So, anything particular about this track that stands out?
I feel like I named this one the Rise because the progression is a rise. You know?
Okay.
It starts off with like an intro, just your basic unknown sample piano, and it just progresses into just a vocal section that Laura added. You know,
Okay.
It's the sample is a rise overall compared to the other ones. The other samples, it kind of just starts high, and then I kind of break down the piano section with the bass.
Okay.
The bells isolated by themselves, kind of like stems in one track,
Right.
so they can sample it. But this one specifically, I think I call it the rise because it is a rise, and I think you'll hear it.
Okay.
Because
all right.
I
Now,
don't know.
one thing
No.
before we get to it is you mentioned something about the sample. How does it work with people, with producers, the exclusive versus non-exclusive? How does that work? If you can quickly break down how that usually works.
Exclusive verse. Can you say that one more time, please?
A producer who's interested in what they heard and they want the exclusive, or they just want the non-exclusive, or if you have the non-exclusive and someone after the fact wants the exclusive, how would that work?
So it's like, let's say someone produced or sampled my track.
Right.
Just based off my mentors who have been doing this longer than I have, like I'm talking just by a few years, based off their experience, they told me they don't really like the exclusive way.
Okay.
I've had people that DM me, big producers, Grammy-winning producers,
Right.
that said, "Yo, send me an exclusive pack, unreleased stuff," but they don't know that it takes hours just to build one sample. It's like blood, sweat, and tears into the sample.
Right.
I send them 10 samples, 10 samples or whatever, 20 samples or whatever, unreleased stuff, exclusively just for them.
Wow.
So they can only hear it, they can only sample it.
Right.
The others, my mentors told me that it's like if there's 20 or 10 samples, 1 or 2 might get used, right? And based off my experience and their experience too, it's like you can still send them packs that you're releasing non-exclusively,
Right.
and it's still going to be the same number. So it's like if you do the math, it's not worth. It doesn't matter if it's exclusive or non-exclusive, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, it's like Jay Dilla didn't sample all those dope samples from back in the day. They weren't exclusive to him. It was a public track. He just found a dope loop of a certain song that he chopped up, and now he gets credit for it in the new track that he pretty much remixed.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, man, it's like the exclusive stuff. It's like a lot of people, like I said, hit me up. They want exclusive stuff, but it's like I don't think it's worth it,
Okay.
And I want others to chop up my sample too, man. I don't want it just him using 2 of them, and now I'm sitting here like, oh, those unused 8 samples. I don't want to DM him and be like, are you using those? Or are you can I send it to someone else? Can I sell it? Like,
Right.
it's just a headache. So I'd rather just let them know upfront, these aren't exclusive to you, but you're getting them as unreleased. It'll probably drop in a few weeks up to months.
Okay.
But you have early access, so you can flip it, do whatever magic you do to it, and then we can send it off. You can send it off, whatever,
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I noticed on the site, so there's different rates. If somebody, how does it work with the rates? If they're on a major, then it's obviously they get into the whole publishing bit. But if it's like an independent artist, unknown or upcoming,
yeah. Well,
then it's
Well, I would consider myself upcoming, whatever you want to call it. Because I'm not signed yet. But like I said, I've only been doing this for a year, and it's been doing good. Because here's my thought process. It's like Clifton. Like I won the Battle of the Beatmakers. Okay, I'm a producer, right? There's many Grammy-winning producers out there that are Grammy-winning producers, right? So it's like I'm a type B producer. I send them a beat. What good is it if I send them a beat, right? I send them a beat. They already make beats. They're like, I'm a Grammy-winning producer. What's the point of me getting your beat and then adding a hi-hat and sending it off, right? So the whole idea behind the unknown sounds, it's like there's more room for collaboration. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it did. I was just getting to the rates. I know there's a different rate for
rating.
Prices for someone who's
on
a label as opposed to someone who might be on an independent.
Oh, the rates
and what they can do with the beats depending on if they're a major or if they're just independent.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, so anyone can buy my packs, $29.99 just for the compositions. But it comes with like the full long pieces and bits and pieces.
Right.
That's why it's usually a minute long. I'll break down certain pieces, or they can buy the stems, which is $59.99.
Okay.
They can chop it up, do whatever to it, and then after that, they can sell it on BeatStars, sell it on YouTube, whatever
Okay.
platform they're on. Do their magic. If they get a placement, they hit me up. Rates, it really depends on the artist. I say 50-50 because I think that's more fair. You know what I'm saying? If the guy says, dude, well, I chopped it up a certain way and I pitched it up 2 semitones, it's like, I can do that too, you know? But I feel like 50-50 is the best way to approach it. It's collaborative effort. Without the sample, he wouldn't have started the beat in the first place.
Correct.
Without my sample, I would not have the opportunity to work with a placement.
Right.
Let's say someone,
Okay.
In terms of clearing the samples, that's really case by case. If it's obviously Drake, then we're gonna go higher, right? If it's like my recent placement, Bow Wow. No hate to him, it's a different price, Whoever's hot at the time, it's a higher price, higher rate. Whoever's not, then it's a different price.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's jump into track number 8. As we mentioned, it's called Rise. This is off the sample album Garnet, Unknown. Let's do it.
Do it.
Wow, that fits the title, Rise. That actually reminds me of like Hopeful Part 2.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
definitely had that same uplifting. I mean, this is perfect timing for this project.
Yeah,
People
I
need
agree.
that kind of energy right now, and it's like, yeah, this is right
we
on
need
the
that.
money.
Yeah, because I feel like with a lot of stuff going on these days, it's like the racial stuff, all this stuff, the crazy stuff going on, man. It's like I felt like I'm just speaking for Laura. She's gonna explain her thought process, but the feeling that I got was like the chord progression was like you kind of get hopeful. There was like a hopeful part too, pretty much like you said. And the magic she added, bro, it's like it literally just piggybacked off the chords and the entire theme, of what's going on today, man. It's like there's a lot of racial shit going on. I don't want to get too political,
Right.
But I just saw just this beauty, man. It's like a rose growing out of snow. I don't know. That's what I saw in that sample.
Right.
It's like in tough times, we see, regardless if it's you lost your job or you're having struggles during COVID, you're getting discriminated against because your skin color, her lyrics just tell the story, man. It's like, we'll rise again and we'll be strong, It's really beautiful, man. I don't know. That's the notion I got. But I don't know.
Right. No, the Caesars are more than welcome to chime in what their feeling was behind, the various sounds, whether it be Hopeful, Rise, or any of them.
Well, absolutely. And in Detroit, we have a lot of setbacks, but always after the burn, you know, there's the beautiful, soft,
Right. The phoenix rises from the ashes.
new life. And I personally feel all the struggles that everyone has gone through on varying degrees. Um, I feel as a musician that I need to raise the vibration for everyone, and really that set me off at the beginning of the year before I met Unknown, planting the seeds, you know, sowing the seeds. So that song is like new life, hopeful growth, transformation.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. George, anything you want to add onto that?
Oh, well, you know, I think the most unusual thing for me was that, uh, you know, as Unknown was saying earlier, that you know, when he's making these samples, you know, he's not looking for lyrics most of the time, and or should I say things that are going to interfere with whoever's going to rap, you know, or do their thing over what we're providing, you know. So it was interesting. So he specifically asked, you know, do you want to Laura, do you want to add some lyrics to this? And she came the and when we write at home, this happens all the time, is that she improvises things come out of her mouth, and you know, my jaw hits the floor.
Always have the mic on.
Yeah,
Always.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for sure.
know what I just said.
Okay. All right. All right. That's dope.
You know, because of the style of music with you know, we do soul and R&B and stuff, so her lyrics are really coming from that perspective already. And
Okay.
and you know, just meeting Unknown over the past, you know, couple months has really I mean, it was inspiring to us, and to be able to, you know, we're stuck at home, we can't gig, we can't tour, so to be able to meet somebody to collaborate with uh, was totally inspiring, and
Mhm.
just that whole thought made us, you know, feel like, you know, yeah, we're part of it, and
Right.
everybody is. We're all together in this thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's struggling, and everybody wants to be able to come out of this stronger, you know.
Right. Right. Definitely. Definitely. All right. We're going to get into track 9, the second last track for tonight, called Super Bowl. But before we get into Super Bowl, are you generally creating these for artists, or you're also submitting them for like film, commercial, movie? How does that all work with the, generally speaking?
So just the Unknown Sounds, it's really just for producers, man. Because the drum broker, you have two audiences: people who are producers who buy drums, and then samples, right? Um, so I mean, yeah, I think if there's a placement where if there's an opportunity for commercials too, then yeah, hell yeah, man, amazing.
Okay.
But 9 times out of 10, it's really for producers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we'll get into track number 9. This is called Super Bowl. Anything particular about this track that stands out, or why it was made and why it was given this title, or is it just you're at a
It
game
was
and
it was the week of Super Bowl, so I think
okay.
that's why we call it Super Bowl.
All
yeah.
right, simple as that. All right, let's get into it. Track number 9 off the Garnet sample album library. This is Unknown. Super Bowl. Let's get it. That vocal is cutting in perfectly on that one.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
Her vocals are
Right.
angelic, bro. Just fucking amazing.
I got a question, and I guess you can say a proposition at the same time. Now we do online battles since COVID hit. We've been doing beat economy battles where producers just battling online, usually for a cash prize and whatnot. I'm just thinking we also have a sample flip battle. Would you be open to us doing a sample flip battle just based on your samples?
I mean, it's up to these guys. I'm down. I'm game.
Okay.
It's like they
They just
disappeared.
disappeared. I guess that's no.
That's a no. I'm pretty sure they're down. Though.
Right.
They're very humble people.
Right.
Yeah, dude. I'd be open to do that, man. That'd be amazing, man. That'd be
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
awesome.
in that case, people don't have to go to a label and all that. If they want to rock with the beat
That's
and
what
run
I'm
with
saying,
it, they
bro.
can just go
Yeah,
straight to the source.
And I'm easy going, man. It's like you have those. Yeah, you don't want to go through a label. You know, it's like, let's say we sample the Beatles. It's like we have to talk through like 20 different layers of communication just to get to the person responsible for the master of the track.
Right.
But it's like this one, it's just like, I'm here, man. I'm chill.
Right.
I'm chilling. You know, so it's, yeah, I'm down, man. I'm down.
We can,
and I support what you do, the Battle of the Beatmakers. It's changed my life too, man.
Okay.
So
dope. So it could be Garnet. It could be one of the previous ones. You know, we can discuss that. Whichever one you might feel is the best, or maybe we can have one from each album. You know, we can all discuss all that, but it's just a general idea.
Yeah, I'll hit you up for sure.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
So last track of today, it's been a journey. All the tracks so far have been a journey. Very delightful music to my ears. So let's jump into this. This is called Winner. So I'm gonna assume it's another one like Rise, another one like Hopeful, upbeat, uplifting, getting people over this hurdle of what we're all going through. Anything else that I can add to explain what this might be about?
I don't know. You guys have anything?
Winner. We're on Winner.
Honestly, no, I don't.
Okay.
We'll just play the sample and chime in after.
Okay.
Says.
All right. Is the order who picked the order? Which goes first, which goes last?
The alphabet chose it. Literally A through D.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. All right. There you have it.
Yeah. It's like A, B, C, D,
Right.
G.
Right. Okay. I didn't catch that. There you go. All right. Well, Winner, this is the final track. This is the Garnet sample album library. This is available where? Where can they get this?
You'll find it exclusively on the drumbroker.com.
Okay.
I don't know the backslash, but just look for it, man.
Drumbroker.com. Okay. That's fair enough.
Drumbroker.com.
Fair enough to find. All right. Track 10, final track sample off of the sample album called Garnet. This is Unknown, the Caesar family, and let's get to it. You know what kind of vibe I got off of that? The movie Get Out. What's that beat at the beginning? It's a sample of Parliament.
Parliament.
It's that big song. I can't. It was just remade by Gambino, Childish Gambino.
I'm not too sure if I heard that, man.
It's that big record. It was a smash hit. It's right at the introduction to that movie Get Out. But it gave me that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Now you make me. I'm gonna have to Google it in a minute. Now it's in the back of my mind. But it was.
Straight up, man.
Say again.
No, it's a straight up. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. It's a big record. It's a big record. Parliament did it, or Boots. No, it was Bootsy did it. It's Bootsy's song,
Mm, mm,
and then
mm.
Childish Gambino recently remixed it.
Okay.
But it's a huge song. I just can't remember the name of it off the top. But yeah, that's gave me that vibe. It definitely gave me that vibe. So big record, big record. The potential for that is crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would
Thank
be
you.
dope to have in a sample flip. Like that one kind of just seals the deal of the album. That was perfectly, even though you just did it alphabetically, that just sounded like the perfect one to close the album.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it works out, man. Because
Right.
oftentimes, I mean, yeah, some people label the tracks like 1 through 10, and they
Right.
go through like a little journey. But I'm just gonna keep it simple.
Right.
A through D, alphabetically order. You know.
Right.
Because I have like certain themes for certain like releases and whatnot, and this one was like mostly just their sound, Laura and the Caesar sound,
Right.
whatever they had to bring over to the table, and then just combined it.
Right.
And there was no specific order, but I felt like, yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. I guess this seals the deal.
Right. Very, very
That's one.
dope. Any last words you want to offer to other producers out there? I'm sure there is a ton of producers out there thinking about they're obviously thinking about putting beat tapes together, but sample library kind of is like a next level of a beat tape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is there any advice you would give to other producers thinking about jumping in this lane, thinking about incorporating other artists into their army, if you will, or just the whole process of it?
Yeah, I think the sample world, I was explaining this earlier over my live. I think, like I said, it's very hard to collab with bigger producers. Like Boy Wonder, I wanted the competition, and T Minus and stuff like that. It's like you hit them up, they're already producers. They're Grammy winning producers. And if you're a hip hop producer, it's very hard to collaborate with them if you're already a producer, unless you're in the same room with them, you know? The one thing I would say is, as a sample creator, it opened up a lot of doors for me. Illmind, Justice League, and a variety of other producers and opportunities came flying through the door, because if you have a sample, now multiple producers can relate to that sample and flip it, right? Versus you already have a fully finished, polished, mix and mastered beat. You send it out to someone, they're going to be like, dude, I already produced. Like, no disrespect to you. I'm a Grammy winning producer. I don't need your beats type stuff, you know? So one advice I would give is get into the sample game. Don't think it's oversaturated. I think we're still in like the very early stages of this. I think it's going to be a very big industry in the future. And two, just keep grinding at it. I feel like anything you do in life, the more you do it, the better you'll get, and the more doors will open for you in the future. Just automatically. That goes for working out. That goes for whatever you want to do, man. It's just, if you want to be a better sample creator, a better battle producer for the battle of the beat makers, just shoot your shot. There's nothing that you lose. Just keep doing you, man. And the more you do something, the more beats you make, the more samples you make, you'll get better and better, and you'll see the results. I promise you.
Right. Okay.
I promise you.
Dope. The Caesar family, anything you would offer to creatives, producers, whether they be hip hop or any other genre, and just the relationship of working with, and just that itself, the relationship, like what does it take for them to develop that relationship with someone who's not necessarily a hip hop producer, but you bring something to the table for a hip hop producer?
Well, I think it's a very interesting combination, and being in Detroit, particular collaboration works very well because we have, the hip hop world, we've got the soul, we've got the rock. So for us to have someone to kind of cut up what we're doing and make it fresh and give it to a different market, and it's still soulful and it's still funky, I think that's an amazing collaboration. I really couldn't have picked a better fit. If I were to even think of something to do like this, because this was sort of in my mind to do, but I didn't really know who to reach out. It just kind of happened. I say being creative and expressing yourself artistically and in a good way. Make sure that your tracks are good. You're doing vocals. Make sure your vocals are good. pay attention to the details, because you don't know who's going to hear it. You don't know where it's going to go. So anything you do, it must have integrity. And I think beyond that, you just have to listen to your heart and just be creative and fulfill the idea. Getting things finished is a big thing. Completing the idea, and it's just an idea. If it doesn't go anywhere, then the next one, you have those ideas from the previous ones. It can really build, and 6, 7 tracks later, you've got the track that's going to sell, that's going to go to the big artist. So.
Right.
It's all a progression, and nothing is wrong. There are no mistakes.
Okay. All right. George, any final words before we close out?
No.
Okay. All right. It's all been said.
Well, thanks for having us, man. Thank you, man.
No doubt. I thank you.
Big fan of your work, man.
Thank you.
If you guys are out there watching this, just enter the battle of the beatmakers. Once everything opens back up, shoot your shot, man. It's worth it.
Right.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Right.
And yeah, thanks for having us, man.
No doubt. But we'll catch up. We'll catch up on the remix, the sample flip, because I think that'll.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up, bro. I'm gonna hit you up, brother.
All right. We'll get that going. All right. Thank you all. All right.
Thank you.
Peace.
See ya.